Hey, I'm Jane. In the property management world, a lot of people know me as a problem solver, a strategist. And today, I want to pull back the curtain on a story from early in my career, a case study really, about how one teeny tiny request ended up unlocking this massive playbook for growth that just completely changed a client's business. It's a story that starts super small with just one hire, but it ends up creating a blueprint for real sustainable growth. So let's get right into it. So picture this. It all starts with a referral. This property management company, they just needed some basic training stuff for one new hire, a virtual assistant. On paper, it looked totally straightforward. Small, simple, one task, one project. That was it. Or so I thought.
You see, that one little project, it was kind of like pulling on a single thread of a sweater. You pull it, and suddenly this much bigger issue that was hiding just under the surface of their day-to-day, it all starts to unravel. And that's had us on this journey, from just fixing one little symptom to building a cure for their entire system. So first, let's dig into that deeper problem. Because what started as this one simple task, well, it quickly showed us the chaos that was really holding this company back.
So here's what happened. The training materials I created, they worked. Like they really worked. The client saw this new VA step into his role with total confidence and become productive almost right away. And that was a total light bulb moment for them. They realized the problem wasn't just about this one person. So they came back to me and were basically like, hey, can you do that again, but for everyone? Can you build us a whole system?
And that's when we really got to the heart of it. I mean, there was no real onboarding process to speak of. Every single person on the team had their own way of doing things, so nothing was consistent. Really critical tasks, things like delinquency follow-ups and even just responding to emails, were getting missed. And the manager? They were totally burning out, spending hours re-explaining the same things over and over instead of, growing the business. Every new hire was basically a huge gamble.
And that's when it hit me. It didn't matter how amazing the person they hired was. It just didn't. Without a clear system to plug into, anyone, and I mean anyone, was being set up to fail from day one. A great hire simply cannot fix a broken process.
So to solve this, I knew I couldn't just write another boring manual that would just collect dust on a shelf. I needed a totally different way of thinking. And that's what led me to develop something I call the brain trigger method. So what makes this method work so well? It's all based in psychology. See, our brains are literally wired to resist tasks that feel big and overwhelming. And that quiet resistance, that's what kills growth. So I designed a new way to create standard operating procedures, SOPs, that works with our psychology instead of fighting against it. The secret is really two simple things. First, you structure every task so it feels important, but you break it down into these incredibly simple bite-sized steps. And second, you add numbers. You measure things. Because when people know their work is being measured, they just naturally take the process more seriously. It stops being just some instructions, and it becomes their personal playbook for success. This method is really the engine inside a 5-stage framework. It starts with hiring the right person, then moves to a super smooth onboarding, and then we use the brain trigger method for the training itself. After that, we build simple oversight tools for the managers and provide continuous support to make sure it all sticks. It's the whole package from start to finish. Okay, so that's the theory. But let's look at how we actually put this into practice, how we turned these simple SOPs into a complete working system that was alive and breathing.
So to get this done, I handled pretty much everything, from screening the right VA to building all of their training. But honestly, the real game changer wasn't just creating the SOPs and videos. It was building these dead simple tracking dashboards. This gave the owner a way to see progress in less than 2 minutes a day, and that built trust in the system immediately.
And honestly, this is one of my favorite parts of the whole story. The owner didn't have to spend a single penny on fancy, expensive software. We built this entire powerful system using free tools they already had, things like Google Docs and Google Sheets. It was all about the process, not the platform. So what was the actual payoff for all this work? Let's talk about the results that came from bringing this much clarity into their operations. This is the fun part. Okay, get this. This was the single biggest, most dramatic result, a 70% reduction in the owner having to answer the same questions over and over again. A 70% drop in time spent micromanaging. All that time was just handed back to them, freed up, so they could finally focus on what really matters:
growing the business.
The transformation was it was stark. It was night and day. Before, the manager was stuck in that horrible loop of re-explaining the same tasks. After, they were focused on strategy. Before, it took months for a new hire to get productive. After, the VA was contributing in a meaningful way within 2 weeks. And those days of critical tasks falling through the cracks? Gone, replaced by a repeatable, reliable system for everything.
So in the end, the client didn't just get a new team member. They got a lasting business asset. This was so much more than one successful hire. It was a reputable system they could use with total confidence for every single person they hired from then on.
And this whole experience, it taught me something really profound about what training and systems are really all about. And that brings us to the final and I think most important takeaway. It forced me to ask this really fundamental question. When we train somebody, are we just teaching them a list of tasks to check off? Is that really what this is all about?
And the answer I found is a hard no. It's so much more than that. Real training, effective system building, it's about giving people the confidence and the freedom to truly own their role. It's what empowers them to be their best selves at work. And looking back, I realized the company's real danger wasn't just that they were disorganized. That was just a symptom. The root cause, the real disease, was the complete absence of process. And without that foundation, anything they tried to build would have just crumbled eventually.
And you know how I knew the system really, truly worked? Because after a while, they didn't need me anymore. And that wasn't a failure. That was the ultimate success. That was the proof that I hadn't just put out a fire for them. I had built them a fireproof system that could last long after I was gone.
So I'm just going to leave you with this one question. We often see a new hire as just another person we have to manage, right? But what if you saw them as a multiplier? With the right system, what if your next hire could actually become the single most powerful driver of your company's growth? Think about that.